Hey everybody, it's Corey. Welcome back to my channel. So I do want to apologize that I didn't post a video last week at all, with the new year coming and work being crazy and a whole bunch of other stuff that we've been doing. It has been crazy and we haven't had a lot of time to plan videos, to film videos, to get everything that we need to get done. So I kind of took last week as an L and decided to just kind of focus on us and what we were doing. But I am very, very excited to be back this week filming for you all. I am using today as kind of a planning day to plan for the next couple weeks, so we kind of stop running into this issue. But I have exciting news. We have been touring wedding venues because it is finally 2020 and that means our wedding is 1 year away. Yes. So we are now in crunch mode for this wedding. And since I've been touring venues and since we've started planning, I thought we could do tips and tricks for a wedding on a budget because let's face it, nobody wants to spend all that money. But before we jump into all these tips and tricks, we are going to do our little shameless plug. So please, please, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the little bell icon so you get the notification every single time that I post a new video. I upload videos on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, and follow me on Instagram. So if you guys don't know, now you know, I am engaged and I am planning a wedding. I do have a couple videos that you might want to check out about my engagement story and about trying on wedding dresses. It has been my plan from the get-go to do kind of like a wedding series on YouTube because that's something that's really important going on in my life right now. But today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks for wedding on a budget. Because let's face it, weddings, depending on your area, whether you live in a suburban area, a city, the country, whatever it may have you, are expensive. They're hella expensive. I know people who have spent over $112,000 on their wedding. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to do that. You do not. I do not want to spend that much money on my wedding because you have to remember that this wedding, it is a very important day in your life, but it is maybe 7 hours of your life that you are going to spend $112,000 on and you will never get that back. That is enough money to buy a car. That is enough money for a down payment on a house. That is enough money to pay off your credit card debt, your student loan debt, whatever debt you may be in. That is enough to treat yourself. And I understand that a wedding, you want to treat yourself, but I don't know, personally, I don't think it should cost that much money. I really don't. So, we are going to get into these tips and tricks, but before we jump into those, so right before we get into all of our tips and tricks that I have been thinking about, talking about, everything like that, I do just want to say that the most important step of your wedding routine is going to be planning. If you don't plan correctly, you will spend lots of money that you are not anticipating on spending. And so I just bought myself a little binder from Walgreens. I didn't spend the money on like an expensive ass wedding planner. And I got some tabs and everything like that. Clearly some of the tabs have fallen off, but I have different categories like venue, wedding parties, food and beverage, decor, budget is a whole separate category, honeymoon, and things of that nature. We have like accommodations, music, photography, videography, all of that good stuff. And this is where I'm keeping everything and I'm planning. I do have like in the venue section right now, we did go to tour 3 venues last week and I have the food menu in here. I have pictures, I have preferred vendor lists, I have some contract itineraries that would break down from each place how much it would cost for certain things on certain times, on certain days, in certain parts of the year. So, without further ado, let's get into these tips. So, my first tip I'm going to tell you is obviously skip a wedding planner. I know that planning a wedding can be very, very complicated and you might not understand all of the lingo, but a wedding planner is going to charge you thousands of dollars to plan all of these things, and they do get a cut typically of what vendors that they work with. So they're suggesting these flower vendors and music and lights and all of that stuff, and they do get you the best price that they can for who they work with, but you can find cheaper vendors that will not break the bank. And having a wedding planner makes the stress easier for you to deal with, but if you start planning in small incremental details, you won't feel stressed. You won't. So I say skip the wedding planner altogether. I feel like it's a waste of money. They are planning one day, and 99% of the time, depending on where you get married, they will incorporate an event planner for you, so you don't have to spend that extra money. Tip number 2 is severely important. This is the whole basis of your wedding. It is location, location, location. So as you guys know, I live in a city, and it is hella expensive to get married here. Like, crazy expensive. So, the 2 tips I have for that. Number 1, I know that a lot of people... So, I have 2... So, my second tip I have for you guys is location, 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 location. So I know that it is really hard for people to get married, especially if they live in cities. Cities jack up the price of everything because the standard of living and the cost of living is so damn high. But I'm here to tell you that you have 2 options. Number 1, think of a non-conventional wedding venue. And what I mean by a non-conventional wedding venue is, like, you go online and you search wedding venue and all these venues pop up, and that's where people in your area typically get married. What I'm telling you is to look for event spaces. So you can get married at small museums, you can get married at community centers, you can get married on a sunflower farm, you can get married on the beach, you can get married at a VFW. Like, all of those types of things are non-conventional wedding venues, and they allow a little more room for push and pull in terms of, like, you know, food and beverage has to be included in this venue. If you go to a VFW, you can have somebody you know cater your wedding instead and heat up all the food there. If you choose to get married on a beach or in a field in the forest somewhere, like, you do have to plan for tents and chairs and everything like that. But you do not have to rent a space, which is a big one. Like, these wedding venues are literally just saying, pay me $2,000 to rent my space for 6 hours, which, not my thing. My second tip for location is, if you are dead set on a venue, like we are dead set on wanting to get married in a wedding venue, look for something that is all-inclusive. So when you get the package deal and you go to visit the venue, they will sit down and they will talk to you and be like, well, food and beverage is not included. You have to go through a separate vendor for that. And typically, with food and beverage especially, they will only work with certain vendors. They have a list of preferred vendors, and those are the only vendors that you can bring to this establishment. And sometimes they vary in price, but for the most part, they're all pretty damn expensive. So if you can get a venue that has an in-house caterer that you don't have to worry about, it's more money in your pocket. My third tip, which is a very, very, very important one that I know a lot of people might yell at me for, is to slash that guest list. Listen, I'm going to level with you right now. I know for a fact that you want to throw a banger of a wedding, because I want to throw a banger of a wedding. However, you do not need to invite 350 people to your wedding. Chances are, you're not even going to see them if your wedding is that big. You don't get to see everybody that comes to your wedding if it's that big. So, slash the guest list. If you haven't talked to them in person, in text, online, email, smoke signal, whatever, in the past year, do not invite them unless they were a very, very big part of your life for a long time. And you could not imagine your day without them. There are so many different, like, flow charts on Pinterest and everything that you can use to help narrow down your guest list. No, you do not need to invite all of your coworkers. No, you do not need to invite your boss. No, you do not need to invite your side of the family that you don't know at all. You just want people who are going to be there to celebrate your love and have an awesome time. If you have a smaller guest list, that's more money in your pocket, less mouths to feed. No kids. No kids, no kids, no kids. And especially teenagers who are under the age of 18, you need to be wary with that because they will charge you for an adult meal for every teenager. Every teenager. So just be wary about the smaller people who are under 18 that you are inviting because you do have to pay for their food as well. And do not forget that your vendors that you are inviting, your photographer, your DJ, your whatever you may have, band, whatever, they need to eat too. And I really can't stand the thought of people who have weddings and don't feed their help, who are there for 6 to 8 hours helping you commemorate this special day, and you can't even buy them a plate of food. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You need to feed your vendors as well. Tip number 4. If you are expecting a lot of people and you are expecting a big drinking crowd, depending on your venue, you can either do a cash bar or a BYOB. And what I mean by BYOB is you buy the booze and you bring it to the venue, if your venue allows that. Because you can order booze in big quantities for a discount instead of paying up the butt for different wines. Like, for example, where I work, a bottle of Freak Show Cabernet is $18 for 9 ounces. You go to the liquor store, the whole bottle is $18. Like, you have to think about that. Every place has markups on all their liquor. So if you can get it for the wholesale discount price and bring it to your venue, do that instead. Do that instead. And if you're anticipating a big crowd, but you cannot BYOB, then I would do a cash bar. Unless you want to treat like your wedding party or like first round on us. I know people who did weddings where like their first drink was on the bride and groom, and then after that they paid their own way. Especially if you have a drinking crowd, this is very, very important because I know we're inviting, I think, about like 100 people to our wedding, and they're all big drinkers, and they could rack up a $50,000 tab if we let them. So that is not happening. Not happening. Tip number 5 I have for you. Listen, I know, planning your wedding, you are going on Pinterest and you are looking at all these crazy centerpieces, this crazy decor, and everything like that. I'm here to tell you, don't buy it. Do not buy the decor unless you have to. Certain things like linens and, you know, like the drapes and whatever, if you want to buy those, whatever. But if you are going to buy the like floating candle centerpieces, go to the Dollar Tree and make it. You can buy those vases, the tall ones where you put the floating candle in, for like $1 at Dollar Tree. You can buy them for cheap at Michael's as well. All of those craft stores. You can go and you can DIY your own decor. Make it so it is perfect the way that you want it. And even so, I know that a lot of people don't have time while they're planning their wedding to think about like DIY decor, and that's why a lot of people buy it and they don't think that they can make that type of thing. You can look up tutorials on YouTube or online. You can invite all of your friends, like your bridal party. Invite your bridal party over, have some wine, and DIY some of your decorations. They would love to help. They would love to help. Incorporate some of your thrifty friends. Like, I know I would rather pay somebody who is starting a small business than to pay a big corporation to do something for me. I know for a fact that my wedding jewelry is going to be made by one of my dear friends who makes amazing pieces. She truly does. And I'd rather support her and her small business than support a big corporation who just is making money. I'm going to leave it at that. Like, I have so many ideas for DIY decorations. Something I'm thinking about for, like, table numbers is going to Staples and buying, like, the house numbers that you put on your house and doing something like that with it. Keeping it real simple, real cute, all that. Tip number 6 for you I honestly lost count of the numbers on these tips, so I'm just gonna keep on rolling. The next tip I have for you is to shop sales. So I'm gonna tell you, I already bought my wedding dress, and this dress is a $2,500 dress normally. And I went into David's Bridal, and I just decided to try on some dresses on the rack to see what kind of style I liked, and I found the perfect dress. And you know how much that dress cost me? Off the rack, in my size, $600. That's it. You do not need to spend $3 grand on a wedding dress. They are constantly doing sales. They are doing bridal expos. You can win free items from these bridal expos. Like free engagement shoots, free catering, like all of that stuff. People are giving away free things. All you have to do is show up and put your name in it and try and win. Shop the sales. Because I know in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but every single small detail that you shave off is going to help tremendously. Like, I know for my wedding, I'm planning on doing my own makeup because I don't like the way, number one, that people do my makeup because I know my face and I just don't like the way they do it. Number two, I can do my own makeup and I have confidence in myself, so I don't want to pay somebody $150 per person to get my makeup done. I think that's a stupid cost. Hair, I'm still deciding on. Hairstylists do also cost a lot of money. I'm really debating on just doing my own hair as well because I want to wear it down anyway, so I might as well just do my own hair. You have to think about things like that. You also have to think about the costs that your bridal party is incurring by having to get makeup done, hair done, buy a dress, throw a bridal shower, throw a bachelorette party, all of those types of things. Because as expensive as it is for you to throw a wedding, it is expensive to be in a wedding. So definitely just be conscious of what you're making your bridal party do. Bonus tip. My next tip is, for a wedding, you are going to spend money. You need to spend the money on important things, not stupid ones. And by important things, I think there are maybe 4 or 5 important things that people always talk about when they go to a wedding. Number 1, your venue. People always talk about how beautiful the place that you got married is. Number 2, a DJ/band. People go to weddings to drink and to dance all night long. If you are not playing good music, they're going to know. Invest in a good DJ. And I know a lot of people nowadays are opting for like an iPod playlist, a Spotify playlist, but a DJ is there to be your MC. He is there to hype up the crowd, to get the feel of the room, to announce everybody, announce all the dances, all the games, whatever you may have. He is there to hype everybody up, and it works. Item number 3 that everybody talks about is the food. You need to make sure that you have good food. If your food is bad, people are not going to be happy. Because remember, you are throwing a giant party. And number 4 and number 5 go kind of hand in hand. It is the photography and the videography. I know a lot of people tend to skip out on the videography, but I really don't think that you can skip out on that, because as much as the pictures are going to get most of your day, the video is going to get the other half. And you are going to be able to have this video of people who may not be in your life anymore and have those special memories with that person. My next tip is, do not forget the fees. So like I said before, if you are having all these people, all these vendors at your wedding. So like I said before, if you are having all these vendors at your wedding, you do need to feed them, which is a hidden fee. And there are some admin fees, and please do not also forget about the tips. The tips. People in the wedding industry, I feel like, always forget about tipping their vendors. It is custom to tip your vendors. Please tip your vendors, along with what your vendor is charging you for photography, for food, for cupcakes, for whatever it is. You also need to leave a tip. Don't forget that. There are also usually for venues admin fees and things like that, service fees, gratuity fees. Just remember that those fees exist and you will have to pay them. So please, 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 when you are choosing vendors, please talk to them up front about that and how much that will cost you, because it will save you a lot in the long run. And like I mentioned before, makeup and hair. Like, especially if you have a very big bridal party, it is a very big cost. A very big cost. I would honestly skip it. And nails, too. Nails. If you can find somebody to do your nails on the low for cheap, do it. If you know how to do your own nails, do it. Like, a manicure and a pedicure isn't that much money. I really get it in the grand scheme of things, but it is also possibly, depending on how you like to get your nails done, like $75 that you won't get back. And I know we all love to have our nails did, like I do too, but you can get them done for cheap. You really can. God, now I'm stressed. There are so many different ways. There are so many different ways to do a wedding on the cheap. So many ways. You do not have to spend a fortune to get married. You really don't. And that's what I'm here to tell you. Thank you so much for watching my tips and tricks on getting married on a budget. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some insight. If you have any questions or any tips for me as well, please leave them down below in the comments, and I will see you guys Thursday. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to see any more of my wedding series. I will link the 2 other videos in my wedding series down below. And please, please, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the left on the way out. And I will see you guys on Thursday.